You know, that feeling, that constant low hum of pressure, like you're trying to squeeze yourself into this box that just doesn't quite fit. Or
Hmm.
maybe it feels more like you're wearing this really heavy costume,
Yeah.
playing a part that isn't actually you, and it's exhausting.
Yeah, that feeling, it's incredibly common, isn't it? That sense that there's this sort of script that's been written for you, maybe by family or society, or even just our own ideas about what we should be doing or feeling.
Right.
And dealing with that pressure, it can absolutely drain your energy, steal your peace.
And that's exactly what we're diving into today. You shared some really fascinating sources with us, articles, research, your own notes, all digging into this idea of expectations.
Yeah,
So we're going to pull out the key insights, try to understand where this weight actually comes from, what the real cost is when you're living a life defined by others, and maybe most importantly, how to start letting go, how to find your footing living life more on your terms.
exactly. And our mission here really is to equip you with some practical strategies drawn right from these materials. We want to help you spot those subtle and sometimes, let's face it, not so subtle expectations that are playing out
Mm.
and to really get their impact and then build up the resilience, the tools you need to navigate life, guided more by your own inner compass.
Yeah. Less stress, more fulfillment. That's the goal.
That's the goal. Clearer purpose, less stress, more genuine fulfillment.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Where does this whole tangled mess of expectations even begin? Our sources suggest it often starts super early, right? Like this inherited script we get handed way before we even realize it.
Precisely. Think of it as the foundational programming. It gets built from a lifetime of spoken words, yeah,
Uh-huh.
but also all those unspoken cues.
Ah, the unspoken stuff.
Parents, teachers, friends, the culture around us, they all send messages about, which emotions are okay to show, which dreams are considered acceptable to chase,
Hmm.
what roles you're kind of expected to fill.
So as a kid, you learn pretty quickly which behaviors get the smiles, the approval, and which ones maybe lead to frowns or disappointment.
Exactly.
Maybe showing vulnerability is seen as weak, so you learn to stuff your feelings down, act tough, because that's what gets rewarded.
Exactly that. Or perhaps success gets defined really narrowly.
Hmm.
Certain grades, specific careers, making a certain amount of money, getting status, instead of valuing, say, inner fulfillment or maybe pursuing a less conventional path that really lights you up.
Hmm.
As one article put it, children become quite adept at performing just to fit in,
Mm.
to gain acceptance, sometimes just to feel safe.
And that performance, it takes constant effort, constant vigilance. It feels like walking that tightrope where one wrong move feels like it could mean falling.
Yeah.
You're so busy balancing according to someone else's rules that you kind of lose touch with your own center, don't you? You get disconnected from your authentic self because fitting in becomes the priority.
And this leads us right into the really significant cost of living under that kind of pressure. Trying to be someone you're not. It isn't just uncomfortable. It's genuinely debilitating in the long run.
It pops up in so many ways, doesn't it? Sometimes insidious ways. Our sources pointed to things like anxiety, chronic stress, burnout,
Yeah,
and that constant need to people pleaser. Those are classic symptoms.
absolutely. And you can ask yourself, do you feel that little pang of guilt when you actually dare to prioritize your own needs? Or just take a rest?
Oof. Yeah.
Is your sense of self-worth kind of tied up in how productive you've been or what external goals you've ticked off a list?
Right.
Do you find yourself constantly trying to avoid conflict just to keep the peace, even if it means silencing your own voice or, bury your truth?
And that fear of failure thing, often it's not even about the actual setback itself, is it? It's more about the judgment you expect, how others will react if you don't live up to the version of you they expect.
The emotional toll is huge. It shows up as chronic self-doubt, that nagging imposter syndrome feeling, even when you are successful. That deep sense that something fundamental is missing in your life, and maybe finding it really hard to make decisions without checking in with someone else first, seeking that external validation.
It's a profound disconnect, isn't it? From your own gut feeling, your own needs.
Yeah, profound disconnect.
So, okay, if living this way is so clearly draining, so painful, why is it so incredibly hard to actually let go of those expectations? What keeps us stuck?
Well, because, as some of the psychological research you shared really highlights, these roles and the expectations woven into them,
Yeah.
they can feel tied to our most basic needs, like survival, belonging, our very identity.
Wow.
So challenging them can feel like you're literally questioning who you are and maybe risking your connection to the people you care about.
That makes sense. There's that deep primal fear of rejection, right? Of being seen as too much or maybe not enough if you stop playing the part everyone's used to.
Totally.
It's genuinely scary to think about disappointing people, especially those closest to us.
And often underneath that lie these really deep-seated beliefs, stuff we absorbed way back, that our worth is conditional, that it has to be earned through performance or achievement rather than just being inherent. Plus, let's be real, sometimes there are genuine, tangible consequences, maybe culturally or within a family, if you deviate too far from what's expected. It takes real courage to navigate that.
But here's where our deep dive gets really interesting, I think. Exploring the immense power of authenticity. We hear that word thrown around a lot, but what does it actually mean to be authentic?
Yeah, good question. At its core, the sources we looked at describe it as being true to yourself, trusting your own inner guidance, your intuition, and following a path that genuinely aligns with who you are, what you want, and just as importantly, what you don't want.
Okay. One psychological model we found broke it down quite nicely into 3 parts. First, knowing yourself. So this is about self-awareness, right? Understanding your core values, your needs, your personality, strengths, weaknesses, the whole picture.
Exactly. And second, owning yourself. This is more about self-acceptance and self-trust, believing your own opinions, trusting your gut when you make choices, owning your actions and feelings without shame or without needing constant approval from outside.
Got it. Knowing, owning. And the third is being yourself. This is the action part, I guess.
That's right. It means behaving in ways that are actually consistent with those values and needs you've identified, even when it's tough, rather than constantly being swayed by what others want or that desire to please everyone.
It makes sense.
And is rooted in that ancient Greek word authentikos, which apparently means genuine or doing something for yourself, like with your own hand. There's this sense of agency baked right into the word itself.
And the benefits. The research you pulled together was pretty compelling. Authenticity isn't just some fuzzy, feel-good idea. It's actually linked to significantly higher levels of happiness, greater life satisfaction, and maybe most relevant for us today, demonstrably less stress.
Yeah, one study really highlighted the sheer cognitive load, the emotional effort it takes to keep up a false front. It's incredibly taxing.
I believe it.
It truly is, as one note put it, just way less stressful to simply be who you are than to constantly perform some role.
Right.
It also correlates with increased confidence, better self-worth, because you're grounding your value internally, not on what others think.
Yeah.
It fuels that intrinsic motivation you do things because they genuinely matter to you, not for some external reward.
And better problem solving too, you mentioned.
Yeah, because you're trusting your own judgment more. You're clearer.
Okay, so we get the problem, the pressure, the cost. And we see the power of the solution, authenticity. How do we actually bridge that gap? What are the concrete strategies, the practical steps drawn from these sources to actually live more authentically and start reducing this weight?
Well, the foundational step, really the starting point, is understanding your values and consciously defining success on your terms. You simply can't live life on your terms if you don't actually know what those terms are.
That requires some real introspection then, asking yourself, what are my non-negotiables? What truly deeply matters to me, separate from what society or my family says should matter? Those are your core values, your internal compass.
Exactly. And one really insightful exercise mentioned in the materials was this 80th birthday speech visualization.
Oh, I liked that one.
Yeah, imagine you're there, right? Surrounded by the people you love most. What do you genuinely hope they would say about you? Not about your job title or how much money you made, but about the person you were, the impact you had, the way you lived your life. That kind of exercise can really cut through all the external noise and reveal what truly resonates deep down.
Because those traditional markers of success, wealth, status, fancy job titles, they're so often defined by the outside world.
Completely.
So redefining success means looking inward, asking, what activities genuinely energize me, make me lose track of time, whose approval am I actually seeking, and why? And maybe the big one, what would success look like, feel like, if absolutely no one else was watching or judging?
It's about shifting your focus, moving away from just chasing external approval or hitting benchmarks towards cultivating a life that feels rich with joy and purpose and, rest and genuine connection, all aligned with those values you uncover.
Okay, building on that foundation of values, the next absolutely crucial strategy that came up again and again was setting boundaries and learning to say no.
Yes. Fundamental. Boundaries aren't about being difficult or pushing people away. They're essential tools. They define what's okay and what's not okay and how people treat you. And they protect your most valuable resources, your time, your energy, your mental health. Learning to say no when something just doesn't align with your values or you simply don't have the capacity. It's incredibly liberating.
Because that people-pleasing thing, really, it's saying yes to others while you're quietly saying no to yourself, isn't it? To your own needs, your boundaries, your well-being.
That's exactly it.
Wow.
So saying no to an external request is often saying a powerful yes to yourself.
But the sources acknowledge this is hard. It can feel really uncomfortable at first, right? Especially if you're trying to change long-standing patterns with people. You might get pushback, maybe guilt trips.
Definitely. And that's where asking yourself some clarifying questions could be really helpful. Like, is this expectation, this request, actually reasonable?
Good one.
Would I feel comfortable asking the exact same thing of this person? Am I setting a precedent here that I'm going to regret down the line? And maybe the key question, is saying yes to this actually worth the potential effort, the stress, maybe even the resentment it might cost me later? Often that short-term discomfort of setting the boundary, it actually prevents much bigger longer-term stress.
Right. Okay, another powerful strategy that really stood out was embracing imperfection and actively practicing self-forgiveness and self-compassion. The whole pursuit of perfection is just, it's a trap, isn't it? And a huge source of stress tied to what other people think.
It truly is. Perfection is a myth. Our imperfections, they're not flaws we need to hide. They're part of what makes us human, part of our unique story.
Like that Japanese art kintsugi that was mentioned, where they repair broken pottery with gold.
Exactly. The cracks aren't hidden, they're highlighted. They become part of the object's beauty and history. That's a beautiful metaphor.
It really is.
And we are almost always our own toughest critics, aren't we?
Oh, for sure.
Constantly replaying past mistakes or perceived failures just keeps you stuck in this loop of shame and self-doubt. Forgiving yourself for not being perfect, for not meeting some impossible standard, internal or external, it's essential for letting go of that heavy baggage and just being present.
Give yourself the same grace you'd give a friend.
Absolutely. Give yourself grace. You're doing the best you can. And self-compassion, being aware of difficult emotions like guilt or feeling inadequate, but without getting totally swallowed by them. And talking to yourself with the same kindness you'd offer a struggling friend. That's so vital when you're navigating this messy process of shedding old roles and stepping into the uncertainty of being more authentic.
Because it's not a straight line, is it? Healing, unlearning.
Not at all. It takes immense courage and real kindness towards yourself.
Okay, so alongside self-compassion, there's building self-trust and cultivating belief in yourself. These seem to go hand in hand with authenticity.
They really do. Those limiting beliefs we carry, fear of disappointing people, needing to fit in all the time, just a basic lack of confidence in our own judgment. Those are major roadblocks.
So the sources emphasized recognizing those beliefs first, and then actively choosing to step outside your comfort zone to challenge them.
Exactly. One technique mentioned was trying a sort of feedback fast. Like intentionally noticing those moments when your first instinct is to ask someone else, "Is this okay? What do you think?" And instead, consciously choosing to trust your own gut feeling or your own decision, just try it. And then importantly, notice what happens. Track it. This helps build those internal validation muscles.
That's practical. I like that.
And comparing your present self to your past self, seeing the growth, the lessons learned, that's another powerful way to build self-trust. Ultimately, though, believing in your own inherent worth, trusting your abilities, your decisions, that's the most potent antidote to constantly needing others' opinions.
Makes sense. And our environment plays a huge role too, doesn't it? The sources talked about managing your environment, consciously limiting negativity.
Yeah, it's like a silent architect of our expectations and stress levels. The people you spend time with, the media you consume, the information you allow into your mental space. It all shapes how you feel about yourself and the world.
So if certain relationships or maybe online spaces consistently leave you feeling drained or less than, or always questioning yourself.
It's okay and often really necessary to create some healthy distance, to set boundaries there too. It's not about shutting out all feedback, but about protecting your energy from genuinely harmful or undermining influences, creating a healthier mental space.
Right. Then there's developing resilience. That came up as another key strategy.
And resilience isn't about being bulletproof or never struggling. It's more about your ability to adapt, to bounce back, maybe even grow from adversity by actively building your strengths and your coping skills.
It's like a protective buffer against stress.
Exactly. It increases your sense of hope, your sense of capability. Things like good problem-solving skills, mental flexibility, having a sense of purpose, cultivating hope, using healthy coping skills, keeping perspective, those are all components.
And how do you build it? What did the material suggest?
Several things. Actively learning and practicing effective coping strategies like really talking through problems with a trusted friend, or taking intentional breaks when you need them, consistently using stress management techniques, which we'll get to, and actively building and nurturing a strong support system, family, friends, community, whatever that looks like for you.
And reflecting on past challenges.
Yes. Reflecting on times you have overcome difficulties, your own resilience stories. That's a powerful way to remember the strengths you already possess and find confidence for tackling whatever you're facing now.
Okay, that leads us perfectly into practical stress management techniques. Because while getting to the root of expectations is crucial, managing the symptoms of stress day to day is also vital for freeing yourself up.
Absolutely. We know stress is the body's natural fight or flight response, but chronic, unrelenting stress, that has serious physical and mental consequences.
Yeah, the research links it to health issues, inflammation, even changes in the brain over time. And the materials warned against just avoidance coping, right? Like, burying your head in the sand might feel better for a second, but it doesn't actually solve anything long term.
Right, it doesn't build capacity. That's where approaches like cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, come in. It's a powerful framework mentioned in the sources. It helps you first identify those negative or unhelpful thought patterns that are actually fueling your stress.
Like catastrophizing, assuming the absolute worst.
Exactly. Or overgeneralizing, taking one negative event and seeing it as this never-ending pattern of defeat. CBT helps you challenge the accuracy of those thoughts, question them, and actively restructure them with more balanced, realistic perspectives.
So you change the thoughts that trigger the stress.
You empower yourself to change those cognitive patterns. And CBT also involves learning practical coping strategies, relaxation techniques, behavioral activation, which means doing positive activities even when you don't feel like it, to counteract withdrawal.
And mindfulness and meditation kept coming up too, focusing on the present moment.
Consistently highlighted for increasing stress resilience. And simple things like accessible breathing exercises are incredibly effective tools for regulating your nervous system, calming things down.
There's that interesting stress breath technique mentioned.
Yeah. It involves an audible exhale, like you're sighing or fogging up a mirror, then an audible inhale, and then holding your breath briefly with your chin tucked down towards your chest.
Okay.
The idea is that the physical vibrations, especially from the sighing exhale and the chin tuck, gently stimulate the vagus nerves. And that nerve is key to shifting your system out of that stress, fret, or flight mode and back towards a calmer rest and digest state. It's a physical hack to interrupt the stress cycle.
Fascinating. And things like a body scan meditation.
Also very effective. Just systematically bringing awareness to physical sensations throughout your body without judging them. Research actually shows practices like this can lead to measurable drops in stress hormones like cortisol.
Wow.
And beyond the formal techniques, the sources were packed with simple, everyday actions too. Things like spending time in nature. Even just looking at trees or something green can have a calming effect. Listening to music you love. Playing.
We forget to play.
We do. Consciously minimizing, multitasking, trying to do one thing at a time, putting your phone away sometimes to be truly present, and critically, prioritizing enough rest and self-care without feeling guilty about it.
Okay, now, one perspective that really seemed to tie a lot of this together came from Stoicism, which your notes highlighted. This distinction between expectations and objectives or preferences.
Yes, this is incredibly powerful, I think.
Yeah.
Because expectations, especially when they're tied to outcomes totally outside your control, like how other people react, or getting that specific promotion, or achieving a certain level of fame or recognition, those are almost guaranteed pathways to disappointment and stress. Your sense of well-being gets tangled up in external things you just can't command.
Okay, so what's the alternative?
Stoicism encourages you to shift your focus. Put your energy, your effort, your confidence onto the process, onto the things that are entirely within your control.
Like what?
Like your own effort, your choices, your actions, learning your skills to the best of your ability, doing your best work consistently. Your focus moves from expecting a specific result to putting in the best possible input.
I see. So instead of expecting the promotion from your boss, which is out of your control.
Right. You can have a high expectation for yourself for the quality of your work, your punctuality, your continuous learning, how helpful you are to colleagues, all things within your control.
That completely reframes it.
It does. It reframes where you place your sense of achievement and significantly cuts down on the stress that comes from relying on external validation or unpredictable outcomes.
Okay, wow. Let's try and bring this all together then. This deep dive, drawing on everything you shared, it's really shown us that this weight of expectations is, well, it's real, it's often invisible, but it carries a significant emotional and physical cost.
But the really clear message, I think, is that you have the agency, you have the tools, the strategies to start shedding that weight. It's definitely a process, a journey of self-discovery.
Yeah.
Understanding your core values, defining success for yourself, setting those healthy boundaries, practicing self-compassion, building self-trust, managing your environment, strengthening your resilience.
And using those practical stress management techniques like mindful breathing and that crucial stoic idea of focusing only on what you can truly control.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And letting go doesn't mean you have to abandon meaningful relationships or important responsibilities. It's more about consciously choosing which roles genuinely align with your authentic self and having the courage to release or maybe redefine the ones that just don't fit anymore. It's about stepping into your life with more agency, more integrity, becoming the deliberate author of your own story instead of just living out someone else's script.
Beautifully put.
And ultimately, finding this freedom from external expectations, it isn't just about reducing stress, as important as that is. It feels like a lifelong journey of continually and bravely coming home to yourself.
That really resonates. Remember that quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson? To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment.
Powerful.
So as you listening reflect on this deep dive, maybe just consider what's one small single step you could take today, just today, to honor that truth for yourself.